day, everyone. What the second speaker of my opposition has said, and the noise that she has been making, that's not maturity. Maturity is using the resources to properly help those around you. When we speak of the hope of the common man, we speak of protection, we speak of fairness, and we speak of justice, regardless of your wealth, your power, your resources, or your status. But in today's Nigeria, this hope has been betrayed. In theory, the judiciary in Nigeria is said to be the last resort for the common man. But in practice, it is nothing more than a playground for those in power and those who are rich, while those who are poor suffer and rot in silence. How can we still say that we can have hope in the judiciary system when thousands of Nigerians who are common are still in prison without even having a day of trial? Government officials openly disobey court orders, and cases take decades before they are reviewed, while the oppressed die. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not justice. This is nothing more than a system that prioritizes the rich, frustrates the poor, and kills the very idea of justice. Good day, Mr. Chairman, accurate timekeeper, honorable panel of judges, my beautiful audience, and my viewers at home. My name is Derrik Tarfa. I'm a proud student of brightest secondary schools, Abuja. Remember both the name and remember the school, because we are going to win. I stand before you today to firmly support the motion that this House believes that the Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. I will prove to you that Nigerian judiciary is no longer a refuge for the common man. I urge you all to open your minds and open your hearts as I expose how deep the cracks in this system goes. Firstly, Nigerian judiciary is slow and inaccessible. Opposed to what the second speaker said, justice delayed is justice denied. This is a serious disadvantage which shows us that it is no longer a source of hope for the common man. Let's be real and honest today. In Nigeria, for the common man, there is little or no hope that they will have a free and timely justice. Court cases take decades before they are reviewed. Hearings are endlessly adjourned, files go missing, and judges go on vacation or they are transferred. By the time justice finally comes, the damage has already been done. Let me give you an example. In the year 2007, there was a man named Innocent Ifeanyi. He was arrested and was wrongly accused for armed robbery, which he did not commit. For 10 years he waited. Keep that in mind. 10 whole years he waited. No lawyer, no judgment, and no court hearing. Just silence. Silence for 10 years. Can you imagine the pain that this man must have gone through? Anyway, in the year 2017, after the pressure of human rights groups, not the judiciary themselves, after the pressure of these human rights groups, the judiciary finally said, okay, let's finally let these people have what they want, and reviewed the case. You won't believe it. Mr. Innocent was actually innocent. Who would have thought? Just imagine the nights that he must have gone through, crying to himself, the trauma that he must have experienced, the way that his life must have been just destroyed. And you're telling me that we should still have hope in the judiciary system? How? He must have asked himself, why me? Why must I be in a country that does not grant me the right that I thought I had? And he's not alone in this. As of today, in Nigerian correctional facilities, over 70% of the people there are still awaiting their trial. They are common people too. Bus drivers, market traders, and students just like me who do not have enough money to pay for bail or legal aid. They are forgotten in the system. Why? How can you still tell these same people to have trust or to have hope or to have faith in a system that completely shuts them out? How? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. The judiciary are nothing more than oppressors who wear a fancy gown and a wig and call themselves justice. What? Yes, you do. Do you know what legal aid is? I advise you to go and check on your research. Thank you. I'm done with your POI. Secondly, another way that the Nigerian judiciary has failed the common man is through its language and complexities. As of today, the common man will enter the courtroom and they're afraid and they're confused because justice has become taught in a different tongue. Not English, but in legal jargon that's so complex that the average man cannot understand. Can you imagine? They enter the courtroom, they're confused and they're afraid. They hear words like injunction, interlocutory motion, and habeas corpus, which I'm sure not even my opposition know what these words mean. They're confused, they're afraid. Nobody explains what's going on. Nobody translates these procedures to them for them to better understand. They're just expected to trust a system that they can barely understand. Now, another example I'll give you. In the year 2019, there was a farmer from Benue State who was dragged into court over a land dispute. He didn't have enough money to pay for a lawyer, so definitely he's a common man. He decided that, okay, I'm going to try and defend myself in court by myself. During the trial, guess what happened? The judge kept on throwing away his submissions because he wasn't following the proper procedure. Okay. At the end of the day, in the trial, he lost. Not because he was wrong, but he didn't speak the language of the law. Are you telling me that this is justice? I didn't know I had to learn the language of justice, my opposition. I ask you, how can the judiciary be the hope of the common man when the system is directly designed to shut him out? My opposition may say that's why we have lawyers, but here's the truth. Most Nigerians can't even afford a lawyer. Legal aid is weak, and justice should not depend on what is in my pocket or my wallet. Therefore, until the judiciary speaks the language of the people and lawyers are no longer a luxury, the Nigerian judiciary can never be referred to as the hope of the common man. Furthermore, the judiciary fails to enforce its own judgments effectively. One of the key features and functions of the judiciary today is to ensure its rulings are enforced. However, in Nigeria, even when you win a case, there is barely any victory because your judgment is basically ignored, so your victory is meaningless. For example, again, in the year 2015, a man won a trial against the police for wrongful detention. The court ordered, you should compensate this man with 10 million naira. That's not a small amount of money. Yet, the police never did anything about it. Also, there is a man named Omolole Sowore, a political activist, which was wrongfully detained, and the court ordered for him to be released. He still stayed in detention for months. Can we see the problem? How can we still have hope in a system which is too weak and powerless to even enforce its own judgments? This makes the judicial system ineffective for ordinary Nigerians. In fact, the World Bank ranks Nigeria as 183rd out of 190 countries to enforce their court rulings. Did you hear that? Us Nigerians, we are ranked 183rd out of 190 countries. We are just better than 7 countries, and let's be real, I'm sure we're not. If the court can't ensure that decisions are followed, they fail to serve the common man. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. It is slow, inaccessible, too complex, and powerless to even enforce their own rulings. I'll leave you with this quote by Mahatma Gandhi. Justice that law gives is punishment. In Nigeria today, the system punishes the vulnerable and protects the powerful who have money, not the common man that we're talking about today. When justice is delayed or ignored, it loses its meaning. The judiciary no longer serves the people, and for the common man, it has no hope at all. I believe that I have convinced you all wholeheartedly why this House believes that Nigerian judiciary has failed to be the hope of the common man. Thank you.